it going, YouTube? Happy Saturday. I'm having a good Saturday despite still being tired from yesterday's cottonseed delivery. I'll tell more about that in my next video. It's a good day because I'm in my Mustang. I'm on the interstate. I'm headed up into Wisconsin to hang out with some friends. It is nice to not be in my truck while I'm on the road because I'm getting some lovely V8 therapy right now, and it is chef's kiss exquisite. So much fun. One thing I'm doing while I'm on this run is I'm looking to see what kind of fuel economy this motor actually gets in a real-world application, because the official EPA rating for the Ford Coyote V8 5-liter that's in this car, I believe the EPA official numbers are 19 city, 26 highway. But of course that depends on, driver, environment, fuel choice, all manner of things come into play there. But right now I'm looking at my fuel economy gauge here, and assuming this gauge is actually correct, and plus or minus, just running straight at 80 miles an hour in 6th gear, it's saying that I'm getting over 29 miles to the gallon. Now, to be fair, I am going up and down some hills. I am increasing and decreasing speed depending on traffic considerations, but still, for a V8 motor, that's a healthy economy, and it's nice to see it. But that's neither here nor there. That's not really what I'm talking about today. I want to talk about one of the conspiracy theories flying around in the wake of the terrible Maui fires that have utterly destroyed Lahaina, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, in Maui. And it seems to be mostly gross incompetence that's caused that situation to be as terrible as it is. But of course, conspiracy theorists can't just let that ride as the only explanation. They have to dig deeper. No, they've got to find out what's really going on. And so they're starting to peddle this absolutely bonkers theory that I'm going to do my little bit here to debunk. Now, according to this particular conspiracy theory, allegedly, several witnesses allegedly saw over the sky, in the sky over Maui the night the fire erupted, laser beams coming down from the sky to start the fires. That's what they're claiming. Now, digging deeper into that theory, they're claiming that what was utilized to start the fires from the air was the United States Air Force YAL-1 airborne laser platform, which is hogwash, to put it mildly. Here's why. First of all, the YAL program, the Airborne Laser Program, was first commissioned, I think, sometime back in 2001, 2, 3 area, to utilize a particular laser. I forget the exact formula of the laser, but I think it was a green spectrum laser. And it was, the intention of the program was to enable an airborne platform to intercept a ballistic missile during the boost phase of flight, where a focused laser beam being applied to the outer fuselage, the outer shell, fuselage skin, whatever term you want to use, of a rocket booster would then cause some form of failure, whether it was heating it up enough where it would lose integrity because of the heat application would cause a structural failure, or actually being able to burn quickly enough through that outer skin where it would actually be able to get into the internal fuel tank or the internal fuel itself and ignite it, and either cause the rocket to explode or cause a catastrophic loss of pressure and, of course, control due to that fuel now being exposed or having another way to exit the vehicle, and then causing loss of boost pressure and thrust, and then inevitably the vehicle would either explode, it would fail safe and detonate, or it would just crash harmlessly into the ocean or wherever it launched from. Now, the program itself was pretty freaking cool because they utilized a Boeing 747-400 freighter as the platform vehicle. They were testing smaller airborne lasers in C-130s to see what the applications were, if it was a really viable program, and then they went really big to try out an anti-ballistic missile laser, the ABL laser, or the ABL system, in order to see if this particular platform was viable to be utilized in Indo-Pacific theater operations, meaning essentially, can we keep North Korea from launching an ICBM and successfully getting it to an American target or a Pacific target? And can we utilize this aircraft to do this? They did successfully test the program. I think it was in either 2007 or maybe it was 2008. Maybe it was 9. Anyway, they did successfully intercept a test-launched ballistic missile over the Pacific. They did successfully strike the missile. They hit it, and they killed it. Fantastically well done. The program was proven to work. However, the application of the program quickly did not manifest in the way that the Air Force thought it might, because first of all, North Korea was struggling at that time to even be able to launch ballistic missiles. Most of their missiles, if memory serves, and I could be wrong here, do your homework, I could be wrong, and I'm not going to say I'm right, but if memory serves, all of North Korea's attempts at launching a ballistic missile through 2010 all ended in failure. Either they didn't get off the pad, they exploded, or they lost control of the vehicle and it would spiral out of control and crash. Or they triggered a fail-safe and it detonated. I'm not sure which. All I know is that it wasn't until the 2010s where North Korea began to demonstrate that there was a really strong potential for them to actually be able to deploy a ballistic missile far enough away from North Korea itself to constitute being a threat to Japan and also United States targets, whether North American continental targets or possibly even targets in the Pacific Islands. Now, that's if memory serves. I could be wrong there as well, but suffice it to say, as the ABL program, the Airborne Laser Program on this 747-400 freighter was a casualty not only of the sequestration issues during the Great Recession in 2010-2011 during Obama's first term. It also was a system that just, because of what would need to happen for it to truly be viable as a forward deployed system, it was going to be, I think, too expensive. The application really wasn't there because North Korea or China or anyone else, they weren't launching enough missiles or threatening to launch enough missiles where an airborne laser program would really make sense. And also, because it's on a commercial airliner, even though you can get those turned around pretty quick and get those up and flying fast enough, you've only really got half an hour of opportunity to intercept a ballistic missile in flight before it's got too high for you to be able to actually intercept it. And really, you need to have that system in place in the sky, able to get the laser armed, operational, and engaging the target within, I think, 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. So you've got to know that launch is coming. So essentially, now this is all memory stuff. I could be wrong here, could be misremembering a lot of facts about this program, but suffice it to say, it was canceled and the airborne laser itself was dismantled. It was pulled out of the aircraft and dismantled. And the aircraft itself went to the Arizona Boneyard, I think at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, to be dry stored. So the 747-400 freighter that had the laser turret in the nose was taken to Arizona, and it was stored as of, I think, 2010, 2011, somewhere in that time frame. However, sometime between 2014 and 2019, and I don't remember exactly when, but sometime between 14 and 19, the 747-400 freighter that housed the ABL system was dismantled for recycling and parting out. So the aircraft is gone. And this is publicly available records. There's even photos, I believe, of that aircraft in its dismantled state. And it really was a shame, because not only was that program really, really, really cool, but it was basically a brand new 747-400 freighter with maybe, 100, 200 flight hours on it. Hardly any flight time, considering that most 747-400s, whether a passenger or freighter, amass 90,000 flight hours minimum over a typical 20 to 25 year service life. So it was an absolute waste of an airframe, which is really sad, because I'm a fanboy of the 747 program. Now, the airborne laser program that people are saying, yeah, this is what they used to start the Maui fires, that aircraft was gone at least 4 years ago. Long before these Maui fires happened, long before this theory could have been substantiated. And there are, as far as I'm aware, publicly available records, not only from government sources at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base and, the aircraft storage facility, the Boneyard, but also from folks who have been allowed, average people who can go, because as far as I'm aware, you can actually tour the Davis-Monthan Boneyard and look at all the old aircraft. You can actually go there. You can see them. You can walk around them. I think, I could be wrong, but I think, it is not a top secret facility. It's right there. You can go there. There are tours, as far as I'm aware. So that aircraft was dismantled, and there's records captured by average people that confirm this. Now, is it entirely possible that the Air Force could have had a second or third or fourth ABL system on a 747 put into place? Yeah, sure. However, as far as I'm aware, all of these 747 airframes, every single 747 airframe from the very first aircraft ever built all the way through line number 1574, which was delivered to Atlas Air in January of this year, all 1,574 airframes are accounted for, either scrapped, crashed, museum pieces, still in service, or, it's in service, in storage, scrapped or dismantled, or recycled, or crashed, or museum pieces. As is the case with the very first 747 ever built. That one's a museum aircraft in Seattle. I believe it's at the Museum of Flight there in Seattle, along with one of the very first 787 Dreamliner fuselages ever built. So, yeah. Now, in fairness to the conspiracy theorists, and I have to be objective and rational here, there are other airborne laser programs that, as far as I'm aware, are probably still in action somewhere, because they're still testing out the system to see if it has any kind of viability for other applications aside from ballistic missile intercept. Because a lot of the stuff they're flying around with now with these conspiracy theorists are, okay, they've got directed energy weapons and they're using them on targets so they can develop this land to find this really valuable land. It's an amazing location so they can, burn down whatever's there and redevelop it. And to an extent, that's actually happening. That is being substantiated by what people are reporting out of Maui. I'm not sure how true it is, because this is the age of the internet, and as far as I'm concerned, nothing can be trusted until you've been able to look at actual documented evidence, which is why I'm talking so much about the YAL-1, because I've seen confirmation that I consider to be reliable that that aircraft and that program has been completely scrapped and is gone. That's not to say that the C-130 platforms don't exist. However, whether or not they're capable of actually starting forests on fire or setting fires with their lasers, I have no idea. So I can't confirm or deny if that's even a possibility with that kind of system. However, it's a heck of a lot easier to engage in arson from the ground. Just go out there and start a fire, like they did in Canada, allegedly, than it is to get an aircraft up there to set a fire and, you know, do whatever. But the internet is foaming at the mouth over different, whatever it can these days. And everyone's looking for clout and EP and whatever else they can get their grubby little paws on so they can get those clicks and get that dopamine hit. I mean, I'll be honest here. I'm making this video to see what kind of traction I'll get as well, what kind of attention I'll get, what kind of response I'll get. But at the same time, I like to consider myself a little bit of an aviation enthusiast, a little bit of an aviation junkie. I don't study aviation news and tidbits and programs like religiously or with an incredible attention because I've got a business to run, I got stuff to do. You know, I don't have the kind of time that would really be required of me to become a true subject matter expert. But I do know about the airborne laser program because way back in college, for one of my art classes, I did a movie poster. I decided to satirize movie posters, and I wanted to make a movie poster for a really bad concept B movie, right? So what I did is, this was back in, I think, 2006 I did this, maybe 2007, I think it was 2006. 6 or 7, anyway. At that time, I was big into playing Microsoft Flight Simulator 2004, right? And what I had, thanks to my my school, my university, I had the student package of Photoshop. And back then, it was really easy to get your hands on the blank templates for aircraft models that you could then plug into Microsoft Flight Simulator and then fly custom aircraft. I mean, people have been doing that for years to recreate airliner paint schemes and Air Force One on different airframes, all kinds of cool stuff, you know, custom, you know, skins for their fantasy airline or throwback skins to airlines that are long gone, all kinds of stuff. So what I did is I painted up a model of a 747 freighter in the U.S. Air Force gray paint scheme that the YAL-1 had, or at least my idea of it. And I flew the aircraft in the game, in the simulator, over Chicago. And I paused it, and then I positioned the camera in free look to get screenshots of the aircraft looking like it's flying towards a horde of alien invader spacecraft, and try to simulate like this is the aircraft, this is the one that's going to stand against this alien invasion, kind of like Independence Day throwback, right? And so I set this aircraft up to be like, okay, this is the hero plane of this ridiculous concept movie that I had, and it was a lot of fun to make that that poster, and I think I got an A on it as well, so pretty happy about that. I still got the poster itself, and I think the files for it in a hard drive somewhere. I got a hard copy of the poster in one of my poster tube, I don't know what you call them, poster tubes, I guess, whatever, just so I have it stored there. But anyway, it was a lot of fun to do that, but you know, the program itself, it's gone. The airframe is gone. The laser is dismantled and parted out to whatever else they might have been able to use it for. And it's a shame because it was a cool program, but 2011 was a hard time for a lot of programs and a hard time for, you know, fiscal policy of the U.S. in general because of how foolish we were with our spending coming out of the 20th century, and then, of course, with the global war on terror, and then, of course, the Great Recession and a bunch of other stuff that all happened at the same time, and it was a hard time, and so a lot of programs that were pretty cool, you know, didn't, they got shelved, like the Ares program. That's one that really should have been seen all the way through to fruition, because that was a program that could have enabled NASA to have been consistently sending astronauts to the International Space Station throughout the 2010s, and they only test flew it, I think, once, and that was it, because it was a simple program, a basic capsule with an expendable middle stage, and then it utilized a space shuttle solid rocket booster for the initial boost phase. So the solid rocket boosters, as you know, those were eminently reusable, because they would take those segments apart, service them, refurbish them, and then restack them onto the next booster and prepare it for flight. And they would send it off to Louisiana to be prepared for the next space shuttle flight. But when the shuttle program was shut down, that all essentially went away. But they kept the segments, and I think several of the segments, actually I think all of the segments that flew with the first Artemis test flight, all of those segments were reused space shuttle solid rocket booster segments that had been in service for, at this point, 45, almost 50 years. Well, close to, maybe not 50 years, but some of the segments I think were 40 years old, because they were just that reusable, right? They were that good. But, I'm rabbit trailing here pretty badly, unfortunately. I want to try to get back on topic here and knuckle it down and close this video out proper and, really be on my game here as I adjust my cruise control a little bit. So anyway, yeah, the notion that people are saying, oh yeah, it was an airborne laser and this was the aircraft they utilized to do, like, no, it's not. That's completely false. That's debunked. You can figure out what happened to that airframe, because there are records of its scrapping and recycling. It's not like it's MH370 where we have no idea where that aircraft is. I mean, conspiracy theories about that could abound, because there's a lot of possibilities with that airframe, that Boeing 777-200 that disappeared, that we still have no idea where it is. Obviously, the most likely scenario is that it's just in a really deep, hard to survey part of the Indian Ocean. But it is possible it could be hiding in some airfield somewhere in China or India or wherever, somewhere where conspiracy theorists would love to have it hiding. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, the internet is a crazy place, and there are way too many people out there spewing crap into the ether, literally just to cloud the issue and distract. And it's difficult to really sit back and say, yeah, this is plausible, this is implausible, unless it's as clear cut as the YAL1 still being around, which I like to think I just debunked. So there's the feather in my cap for the day. And with that being said, YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I hope you made it through my entire video, and if you did, again, thank you, and I'll see you down the road.